Welcome to thewealthchannel.com. My name is Adam Batchelor, and I'm joined today by someone who, if you haven't heard from him yet, you need to hear from him. He's an expert in the field of philanthropy and how it relates to your practice. Phil Cubeta, MSFS, CLU, ChFC, and CAP. I think I've handled it all there.
I think you did.
You're also the Sallie B and William B. Chair in philanthropy here at the college, and
That's
you run
correct.
our CAP program. So
Yes.
Welcome to you, Phil. How are you?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Phil, I know that you're better equipped than almost anybody to sort of give a snapshot of where the nonprofit sector is and where philanthropy is in 2009. However bleak that picture is, can you sort of paint it for us now?
Well, you know, nonprofits perform such essential services in all of our communities. We all depend on nonprofits. And if you have a heart for that kind of work, it's quite distressing. There are, let's say, 1 million or 1.3 million nonprofits in the country. And some people predict we're going to lose about 300,000 over the next year and a half, 2 years, because they're almost caught up in what you might call a perfect storm. Where do they get their money? They get their money from their endowment. Their endowment is down. They get their money from donors. Donors are basically concerned about the stock market, their own financial security, their jobs. They get money from foundations, and foundation assets are also down. And finally, they get money from government grants. I mean, the government funds a lot of the nonprofits engaged in the social service sector. If you look at where their money comes from, 80-90% can come from government. And government taxation is not breaking even anymore. I mean, all these municipalities, states are struggling. So everything is difficult for the nonprofits. And yet at the same time, you know, if you watched the news last night, they had a story saying that 1 in 6 American families does not have enough to eat. 1 in 6 American families have enough to eat. So on the one hand, there's less to go around. On the other hand, the need is so much greater. So it's a very tough time for the nonprofit sector.
Phil, aside from the obvious, the fact that people just frankly don't have the money to give, there are other influencing factors. Bernie Madoff, for example, which in a presentation that I heard you give recently, you quoted the Wall Street Journal saying that it was the atomic bomb of Jewish philanthropy. Right. How does someone like that impact a donor's willingness, first of all, to give to a charity, and most of all, to work with a professional in doing that?
I think a lot of people are feeling anxious and concerned about the state of the economy, the state of the country, and their level of trust just keeps getting lower. If you ask what do people trust, whom do they trust, it seems like almost trust in whatever dimension has been betrayed. So it makes it more difficult. It makes it more difficult around.
How about the fact that with all the right intentions, let's say, Congress and the current administration are looking at policies that would impact people with the greatest resources. So,
right.
So taxing the highest percentiles at even higher rates in order to pay for what seem like great programs, maybe on the surface. How does that impact philanthropy if the government decides to do all the good instead of the individuals?
Well, if they put philanthropy out of business, I guess we should all be grateful in some way. And we all know it's not going to happen, though, right? I mean, as well-intentioned as the government may be there, if you think about your own hometown and the likelihood that the government's going to step in and make things so much better, most people just don't believe that. But the price of trying is higher taxes. And we're all kind of in the tax business in a way at the American College. We're all trained to work around people's finances. If you think about it, you can say to a client or say to a donor, look, you know, those of us who have resources, some of that money is going to go for social good one way or the other. It's either going to go through taxation or it's going to go through giving. And taxes look like they're on the way up. And how do you feel about how the government is doing with your money? And most people, business owners, are going to say they're not very well satisfied. In fact, they'll be quite passionate about it. And we're really in the business of moving the money that could have gone in taxes to a better purpose, whether it's for your family or for the cause you care about. So you can see yourself kind of being in the social capital business and moving it from point A being the government to point B being something a lot closer to home that the donor can get involved in personally.
I know that you support charities, and I do, and so many people do. What impact can the individual average donor have on finding solutions to problems in philanthropy?
I think that's a really, really important question. It's a very important question for our donors, for our clients, because a lot of times what you'll see from people who are trained by financial services or law firms and the like, in other words, people who are doing philanthropy around tax tools and techniques, the one thing that's really missing from that conversation is a conversation about impact. In other words, go through all these gyrations. I get my money back from Washington. I can direct it where I want it to go. I write the check. It's gone. Someday you're going to wake up and ask yourself, what good did that do? I know the government wasn't going to do a real good job. How good a job did I do, right? And many, many people of this generation are immensely concerned about that topic. And if you begin to touch that nerve in your conversation with clients and prospects, they will respond to it. It's not just about getting your money back and controlling it. Now they've got control of it, they want to do something specific and useful with it. And that gets you into the whole other conversation about philanthropy in terms of getting something specific done and working back from the outcome you want. Do you want to be alive to see it? Do you want your kids to do it? Do you want somebody else to do it for you? Do you want to serve on a board? Do you want to, get on that nonprofit and really run it right? If you don't feel it's being run right, do you want to get a board seat in return for your contribution? The language around that is normally social investing. I'm going to invest my money, I want a social return. So it is definitely an emerging trend. If you feel like that yourself, then you'll resonate with business owners, because that's typically how they feel too.
Phil, we're going to get a little bit more deep into the impact that an advisor or an agent can have in our next segment. But I just want to pick up on one more topic. And the Wall Street Journal on November 9th ran an article about what changes maybe should be made. And one of them they talked about was foundations. They indicated that $40 billion a year is given to nonprofits through foundations. But maybe that isn't enough. Maybe there's better ways to do it. Can you speak to that a little bit? And I'll give you some of the examples that they talked about, including increasing minimum disbursements from foundations and creating easier grant practices to get the money out to the nonprofit charities.
Well, it's interesting having this conversation at the American College, because most of the conversation, I would say, around advisors, okay, it has been about money into charitable tools rather than money out of charitable tools. And a lot of the action and the real larger conversation in the public press and on the street is about how good a job we're doing taking money out of those tools and making a difference. And that's where your questions are going. So there's been a lot of talk about, is 5% payout enough? Is a Ford Foundation times 5% enough? Are they giving out enough? Are they giving it the right places? In other words, they tend to give it to elite. Does the money go from elite institutions or elite people into elite foundations to elite causes like the opera and so forth? Should we pass a law saying it's got to go to a particular kind of a cause? It's an important conversation. I think it's a conversation where we as advisors, except as citizens, are not going to have a huge amount of impact. The thing that always interests me is so much conversation in the press about how the foundations are doing, so little conversation about getting them funded in the first place. I think what we can add to that equation is to go to the people that we know who have farms and ranches and small businesses and the like, and talking about, what would you do instead of sitting on the sidelines criticizing somebody else? Okay, when you have your foundation, how will you do it? Will it be 5% or 6% or 7%? And they may say that they want to sunset their foundation during their lifetime. They may say, I want to be around to control it. I want to put my own work effort with it, and I don't want it to last forever and become another Ford Foundation.
Thank you so much for your insight today, Phil, and we look forward to hearing more from you in our next segment. If you're interested in more about philanthropy and your practice, stay tuned to the Wealth Channel for my second segment with Phil, and tune into our December 8th Game Changer. You can find out more at theamericancollege.edu/gamechanger when Phil will be speaking with Heather G. from the Philadelphia Foundation. Thanks so much. I'm Adam Batchelor. Until the next time. I hope you enjoyed that video here on thewealthchannel.com. My name's Adam Batchelor, and I wanted to take a minute to invite you to join your alumni association on a travel-learn cruise through Alaska. Starting on May 14th, 2010, this 7-day cruise conference will take you on a remarkable journey aboard the Celebrity Millennium, viewing the incredible splendor of North American wilderness. We'll end our cruise in Anchorage, Alaska. On board, CE presentations will be led by keynote speakers Dr. Larry Barton of the American College and Linda Need, CFP of Bank of America. This incredible opportunity pairs top-quality education with an unforgettable trip. We've also arranged an optional college excursion that will add 3 nights touring Denali National Park, making this a must-experience program at the perfect time of year. To learn more about this incredible educational opportunity from your alumni association, contact our travel agent at 800-422-0711 or visit our website at theamericancollege.edu/cruise2010. I hope to see you on board.